And we told you about these tense moments that you're about to see, and instigators stirring up issues at today's coalition to march on the DNC protests.
We are waiting on law enforcement to tell us how many people were arrested. Our Charlie DeMar saw it all go down and is live for us tonight where some of the arrestees were taken. Charlie?
And Joe and Erica, good evening. Those who were seen knocking over fences, entering that secured perimeter, they were not part of that large protest. They marched peacefully for hours throughout the city of Chicago, but those who were arrested, they were brought here near Belmont and Western to Area 3 to be processed. We did check in with the National Lawyers Guild. They typically offer their services when people are arrested at large protests and demonstrations, and they say they were notified of at least 10 people who were arrested. Protesters with the coalition to march on the DNC peacefully made their way through the streets of Chicago, but as the majority of the group walked away from Park 578, a small number of people stayed behind. That group violently knocked down a portion of the anti-scale fencing and breached a secure perimeter near Washington and Wolcott, about 2 blocks from the United Center. Our cameras caught multiple arrests.
They breached the fence. They got into the outer perimeter. They were trying to get into the inner perimeter. They were shaking the fence on the other side. We have no idea what they would have done if they gotten onto the other side.
Once some of the agitators crossed the barrier, bottles and other objects were thrown at police. That's when officers from CPD and the U.S. Capitol Police, armed with shields and helmets, arrived. Officers could be seen trying to reassemble the heavy dislodged fencing.
There was a breach at one of the fences, but it was brief, that breach, and the police actually stepped in, did a great job.
Governor J.B. Pritzker was asked about the breach, which occurred shortly before speeches began at the United Center.
We've got people who are concerned about the war in the Middle East. They're expressing themselves. We're going to protect their right to express themselves, but we're not going to stand for any mayhem.
Once the secured area was cleared and back under control, CPD cleared the park. Superintendent Larry Snelling said his officers were effective.
We're not going to tolerate anyone who is going to vandalize things in our city. We're not going to tolerate anyone who are going to commit acts of violence. Now, late tonight, at least 3 people who say they were arrested during the protest today, they were released. They say they had nothing to do with knocking over the fences or entering that secured perimeter, and they say their arrests were wrongful.
I will go every single day. This is my right to protest, so I have nothing to hide. This is legal, and what I'm doing is legal. Right. And my arrest was illegal.
And those 3 men who were arrested and released, they say they were charged with trespassing. Tomorrow, Chicago police is when they say they will release the official count of how many people were arrested at today's protests. We are live from Belmont and Western. I'm Charlie DeMar, CBS News, Chicago.